Good evening, this is Robert Sidell. Welcome to the Gateway Show on every Sunday evening, 6 p.m. live to 7 p.m. And it's a great pleasure to have you joined in with me here. And by the way, Ashley, I'm still getting a feedback loop, so you may need to call Mark about that. Find out what you have to do to make that cut out. Anyway, my friends, it's a great pleasure to be here with you tonight. I'm opening myself to miraculous possibilities, and I invite each and every one of you to open yourselves. Hey, Debbie, it's always nice to see you. You know, it's fun. One of the things that I like about seeing the Facebook, and there's James, is I get to see people that are out there. This is like us having a virtual spiritual gathering. And that's really what's happening. We're not sitting physically in the same room, but you know what? We are sharing the same spiritual message and consciousness, and that is a miracle, and that is grace. So each one of you, my friends, I invite you to open yourself to the idea that right now, in this very moment, we could create a miraculous co creation of love, of peace, and harmony. And I invite you to just open yourself to new possibilities on every level of your life. Wherever you've done, whatever you've accomplished in your life, open yourself to letting God, the most infinite grace, write a new song in your soul, a new dance in your life, a new possibility. And that's really what this show's all about. Opening up ourselves to new possibilities. I'm just a little bit of background for me in case somebody's listening on the radio that doesn't know my background. I'm a practicing attorney. This is very hard for me to imagine or say this number, but I've been practicing law now for 47 years. 47 as of this new year, 2024. 47 years. That's a long time, my friends. But you know what? I still get a lot of pleasure. I get a lot of positive feedback and get to meet new people. And it's an exciting, dynamic journey to be on. And I practice law with my son, and it's just a nice experience. My wife is there, the rest of my family's there, and also some of my other members of the family are there, and I have nice employees as well. So it's a great pleasure to be with you here on this Sunday evening, just opening myself to new possibilities, new grace, new love, and possibilities for healing. So having said that, I'm going to put a little bit of music on, and let's see here. Hold on. I'm going to put on a little music on. I just want to do a kind of a healing process right now. So wherever you are right now, take a few deep breaths with me. If you happen to be driving in a car, of course, stay alert, focused, and for everybody, just keep your eyes open. But wherever you are, just take a deep breath in. Just take it all the way to the depth of your lungs, and then just feel that life energy coming into your body and your mind and your spirit. In this moment of life, dare to open yourself to the idea that amazing good is coming to you in ways you could not even imagine. Now just let the breath come back out. Just let it back out. And when you let it out, let your stresses and fears and worries just leave you at the very same moment. Wherever you are, God's healing power is. So take a deep breath back in, and then let your breath back out again. And just open yourself to the idea that you are exactly where you should be right now. Your past is just an illusion, and tomorrow is just a dream. But right now, if you open yourself to the infinite divine love of God's grace, then amazing possibilities can come to you right now. Open your heart right this second to infinite grace and infinite possibilities. Infinite grace and infinite possibilities. Open yourself right now. Dare to believe, dare to know, dare to feel, and dare to be healed right now in mind, spirit, and body. Dare to be healed in mind, spirit, and body. Dare to trust that the miracle working power of God and grace is with you right now. Take a deep breath into your heart, mind, and soul again right now. And just open yourself to the idea that you're being infused with divine light, divine grace, and divine healing. You are a miraculous, fearfully and wonderfully created spirit of God's light and love. So wherever you are and whatever is going on in your life, God's healing can lift you up and heal you. So dare to believe right now as we speak that you are being blessed, you're being lifted, you're being guided. Whatever's going on and wherever you are, trust that the right people, the right experiences are coming into your life as we speak right now. The right people, the right love, the right grace, the right opportunities, the right beginnings are coming into your life right now as we speak. Whatever you need is coming to you now. You are, as I said, fearfully and wonderfully made. And if you need some sort of healing medicine, vitamin, enzyme, supplement, or friendship, you know what? Right now, in this moment, it will be brought to you. It will be brought to your life. So dare to trust. Dare to know somebody will walk up to you and tell you what you need. And just keep your mind and heart open and for listening for guidance. So take another deep breath in and just let it back out again. This is the moment that God has made for you and I to share this time together, including for those that are listening on a recording at a later time. It's our perfect time to connect, because what God is infinitely beyond our understanding. That's what we have to remember. Whatever God is eternally and infinitely beyond our understanding. God is beyond time, space, and matter. Whatever we need and whenever we need it, it will be brought to us. And that's what I want you to open yourself to tonight. That at this moment in time, that whatever you need and whenever you need it, it will be brought to you in perfect timing, perfect healing, and perfect grace. Perfect time, perfect love, perfect joy coming to you right now. Dare to be infused right this second. I want you to just be infused with the infinite love of God. Let it pour into your mind, spirit, and body right now. That very spirit that can heal the sick, can bring prosperity to the destitute, can bring joy to the person who's in despair. There's always an answer to every problem that you might ever confront. There's always an answer to any problem you might confront. But you have to dare to know that. You have to dare to be healed in that consciousness. You have to dare to know that God's infinite love has not forgotten about you. But it's even more than all that. There's a consciousness of infinite love that when you feel it in your heart, mind, and soul, will change your life forever. Your life will never be the same on this earth again. When you feel this infinite love pouring through you, as your very essence, your very life essence, then you know what? You will begin to feel joy and happiness and healing you never imagined. Simple things will give you great pleasure. You can see a puddle of water on the ground and see the light reflecting off it, and it can bring you great joy. Hello, Liz. It's nice to see each of you, my friends on here. Wherever and whoever you are, divine order and divine grace and good. So, my son's helping guide me. By the way, if you're listening right now, we just down-adjusted the music a little bit. You can tell me in a minute if that's still good. We have to. Last week, it turned out our music was a little too loud. So you might tell me if you're listening on Facebook, how does it sound? Does the music sound about right, or is it too loud for you? But even beyond that, I just want to, so tell me what you feel. But beyond that, I want you to open yourself right now to the idea of literally like being plugged in to God's divine grace for your life. Okay, sounds good. Okay, thanks, Debbie. Thanks for telling me that. Did you notice a change in the volume, Debbie? Or it doesn't matter. It just sounds okay. No problem. If any of you think it's too loud or too low, just let me know. So wherever you are right now, each of you, there's a way for us each to live. If we can open the connection between us all as living instruments of God's love, I tell you for sure, my absolute conviction is that our lives can be transformed into heaven on earth. It doesn't mean we don't have issues to deal with. It doesn't, life has issues to be dealt with. But when you're charged with the infinite love of God, then suddenly those same issues don't strike you with such despair and grief and stress. I'll tell you what it's like. When you're filled with God's love and charged up with it, then you're a little bit like a person sitting in a nice log cabin with a fireplace going, and even if you see the snow outside and it's cold, and you might even sit lower in it, you might even see icicles on the side of the building, but you're inside, the fireplace is burning, the warmth is there, and you're okay. That's what happens when you're charged with God's infinite love. And that's the ability, something we can give each other. And that's something I just want to share with you. We can give that to each other as living instruments of God's grace. We are designed, as I said earlier, and fearfully and wonderfully made to become living instruments of the highest and most glorious of God. We're designed to thrive and succeed in this life. And that's something to really open yourself to. We don't always hear that. God wants you to thrive and succeed and be glorified in this life. Can you dare to know that? Can you dare to give up old thoughts and old belief systems that might contradict that? It takes courage to do that. We're going to have to go to a break now. This is Robert Sidell, and this is The Gateway Show. I just want you to know it's a great pleasure to be here with you, and we're also simulcasting on Facebook. And so just stay tuned. I'll keep with you on Facebook. So my friends on Facebook, it's a great pleasure to be here with you. Hold on one second here. I just want you to know it's fun to sit here and share with you divine love. Linda, I see you on there. You may realize it or you may not, but I feel when I do this show a great infusion of divine love. So every time I have that, I'm reminded of God's infinite grace and goodness. Infinite grace and goodness. Every moment in time is always a new beginning for all of us. Sorry, I'm just trying to correct a couple little things here. Every moment for us, and all time, is always a chance to reconnect to the infinite power and grace and love. And when I come onto this show, you may or may not realize it, but each of you are putting me back into touch with that love too. We all have to be brought back, don't we? Liz, Debbie, Ernie, Linda, and others that are listening. We all need, and Jim, we all need to bring our hearts and souls back into alignment with God's love. But sometimes, but we also need each other to share that love with. That's why Jesus talks about where two or more are gathered, there also is the presence of God. Just 1 second, let's send a quick message out. Just 1 second, my friends. Sorry about that. I had to send a message. So each of us, you know what? Each of us have the ability. What if we discovered all of us on this earth can start to share light and love with each other? And you know what? If we can begin to do that, then you know what can happen? We can begin to light this world into a fire of joy. And you know, it's possible. I'm absolutely certain of that. I'm absolutely certain. It is possible. We can do it. Because we are divinely and fearfully and wonderfully made. But see, the words don't mean anything really. I mean, they're fun, they're nice. We like our words. But what we really need to remember is that the love we're talking about is like I'll give you an example. If you're looking at a nice electric light, you turn on that switch and the light shines out. Well, guess what? That light doesn't need to have a word. It's connected to the power. And the same with you and I. I'm about to go back on the radio. I'll be back in just 1 second. Here we go. Good evening, my friends. Great pleasure to be here with you on the Gateway Show live Sunday evening, #1 talk station in Las Vegas. And I just want you to know that it's an honor and a privilege to be here. I appreciate the love and joy and grace that each of you share with me. It makes a huge difference in my life, and my sincerest desire is that each of you get charged up and filled with love yourself. You see, the power that we have as human beings is to share infinite divine love with one another. When our hearts and minds and spirits are open to that, and we're on the same frequency, we can begin to lift each other up. And as we lift each other up, then, as I said, we're lifted out of depression, we're lifted out of despair, and we're lifted into light and joy and happiness. See, we were never designed to just do it all by ourselves. The whole purpose of this world is to learn how to fuse together into a new possibility that both preserves our individuality and that needs to be there, but also accentuates the potential we have to lift one another up. I'll give you a small example from my own life. Many years ago, I was teaching a seminar in Puerto Vallarta, and I had a group of people there with me. And we were taking a little visit to a stream that went over in a series of waterfalls. And I was in this pool of water, a lower pool of water, and some people had gone around on the upper side and were up above, and I couldn't pull myself up. It was just a little too slippery for me. So I asked one of my friends that was on the seminar if she could extend to me her hand, and so she did. She extended that hand down, and I grabbed it, and just that little bit of extra strength from above pulled me right up, and I was able to get to the next pool of water higher. And it didn't take that much because I was already floating in the water, but that slight additional amount was enough to lift me up. What I'm going to say to you, my friends, is it's the same kind of thing spiritually. Sure, we have a lot of strength within ourselves, but when we fuse together and learn to share love with one another, that can begin to transform our lives forever. That will lift us into new possibilities that we can't even imagine. That will give us the ability to be lifted up, be filled with joy and healing and power and grace. And too much of this world we try to do on our own, when we never were intended to try to do it on our own. And of course, that's one of the reasons why churches exist. It's a place where people can come and worship God together and find love and grace and healing with one another. And there are many different kinds of churches, different styles, different teachings, different focuses. But that's the beautiful thing about our country, is that we have freedom of religion. What a beautiful thing that we can do that. So wherever you are right now tonight, I invite you to open yourself to that eternal love that is boundless and eternal. And tonight the topic is to open yourself to the idea that, hold on one second, I gotta get it, that we have, where did it just go, right? Sorry. That we all have divine gifts. And the question is, are we going to accept them and share them and live our dreams? That's my question for you, each of you. You have potential within you. You have power within you. You have grace within you. Are you courageous enough to bring out the greatness in your own soul, your own mind, your own spirit, and let that greatness emerge through you and for you and as you, in front of you and all around you? Isn't that the opportunity we all have? I want to read a scripture from the Bible from you. This is John 12, verse 14. And Jesus was instructing his students. And what he was saying, okay. So he says that, what Jesus says is, he says, truly I say to you, whoever believes in me will also do the works that I do, and greater works than this he will do, because I am going to the Father. So I want you to think about that. He's saying, whatever he did, we can do more than that. We don't normally think about that, do we? That's not normally the message we're hearing in most churches for lots of different reasons, for no criticism. But well, what did he mean? He says, you can do more things than me. Now, I've studied lots of different teachings and traditions and beliefs, and one thing I've come to believe is that a true spiritual teacher is always going to want their students to exceed them, because they want just like a parent wants their own children to exceed them. That's a great pleasure for a parent. And it's the same thing. Jesus wanted us to transcend him, to grow beyond him. So what you and I need to do is open ourselves to the idea that we are designed to be miracle workers and healers, and know healing and be healers and miracle workers. Now, the early disciples of Jesus they were in that place. So they were going out and doing miracles. And I mean, they did all sorts of things. In the book of Acts, in the New Testament, they talk about bringing people back to life, healing people, all sorts of things. Because they knew they just had exposed directly to the miraculous healing powers that Jesus talked about. But I think sometimes, not always, but over the years that have passed, sometimes we think, well, Jesus really couldn't have meant that. He couldn't have meant that we are miraculous beings capable of bringing forth miracles of joy, peace, prosperity, and plenty. He couldn't have really meant that. But what if he did? And what if you and I are in a situation where we have the opportunity to open ourselves to that possibility of divine love, of divine grace, of divine healing, of divine power? This, my friends, so each of us, no matter who we are, has the ability to say yes to God's infinite plan. And that's the gift I'm talking about. What is the gift that you've been given? Are you sharing it? Or are you sitting on it? Are you saying, God, no, that couldn't really be for me? I think that's the challenge we all have. When you have a gift, sometimes you think, well, it couldn't be me, God. I couldn't do that. I couldn't really bring forth this new possibility in any part of life. I practice law. I've been practicing, as I said, for 47 years. I might say, well, what could I do, God, that hasn't already been done? Well, maybe a lot. And am I willing to open myself to new possibilities? Or in the spiritual arena, what can I do? What does God want me to do in the spiritual arena? These are questions that I look at in my own life. What do I want to create? What do I want to bring forth? What can be brought forth out of my soul as a gift to God, and as a testimony to God, and as a revelation of God? What possibility? I can only say this to you. It has to be through God's grace, or it really will have no value. The greatest works of man without God's grace will simply collapse. And Jesus gave a great example of that principle. Many of you will remember this story from the Gospels, that there was two men, two people, maybe it was a woman, who knows. And one built his house, beautiful house, but it was on kind of a sandy soil that wasn't very solid. And the other one built it on, it was a pretty house though. The other one built his on rock, and it was solid. And a storm came along, and the one on the sand collapsed down with a great thunder and shock to everybody there. But the one that was built on rock, it survived. The people were fine. And that's the difference between dedicating your goals to God's grace than just trying to do it all yourself. Each of us has to ask ourselves, you can look through history and see teachers and leaders that have gone along, famous leaders, that some of them had enormous power, but they never surrendered their hearts to God. It was about them, about their accomplishments, about their personalities. And when that's the story we live, if that's the story we're living, then we're like that person who built a house on sandy soil. And you see over history, a lot of these people, it's exactly what happens. Their creations collapse, like that house built on sand. And one day these people were famous and powerful, and the next day they were collapsed, and their journeys were over. So whatever you and I want to try to share and make a difference to God's grace, it's very important that we try to truly surrender to God's infinite will. Even then, it's not always obvious or easy, I don't think, for anybody. But still, that's our opportunity, isn't it? To open ourselves to God's infinite divine love and dare to consecrate our dreams, our beliefs, our hopes to God's infinite grace. And when we do that, then we have a chance to become a living instrument of divine love. So wherever you are right now, I invite you to open yourself to the idea that you have a gift to share with the world. You are special. You are unique. Do you realize that nobody has the gift that you have to share? And your gift is needed. Think about that. Nobody else has the gift to share that you have to share. Your gift is needed. So I invite you tonight to open yourself to the idea that you are unique, you're special, you're divinely filled, and you make a difference. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're destined for any kind of fame, because that's not what I'm talking about. Maybe it's to be a good husband or wife or parent. Maybe for me it's to be a good lawyer and try to serve my clients as an attorney. It doesn't really matter. Or just be a good husband and father of my children and a loyal friend to my friends. But the point is, each of us, there's a higher calling for us to do something better, greater, higher. Maybe there's better ways I can do law practice. Or maybe there's something better that I can do spiritually, like what I'm doing right now on the radio, on simulcasting on Facebook. So I'm just seeing, it's 6:30, so we're going to go to our break right now. This is the Gateway Show. This is Robert Sidell, sharing the idea that you have unique gifts, and it's your and my opportunity and responsibility even to share those gifts with the world. On that note, we'll be back in a minute. Stay tuned. I'll stay with you on Facebook. So it's a great pleasure to be with you here tonight. Each of you make a big difference to me. You know, it's been a great pleasure for me to share these moments with each of you. And it's interesting just to share this with you. When I'm preparing for this show, a message starts to generate in my soul. And as I get closer to the time of the show, it's like a power sort of circles in and around my life, and I can feel this grace. And it's actually a very beautiful, powerful, strong feeling for me. I like it. It makes me feel good. But beyond that, it reminds me that that's the possibility we all have all the time. And that's the only frustration I feel in my heart and soul. This world sort of bumbles along in its way, and sometimes it's just bumbling, and sometimes it's worse than bumbling. But what if we could flip the paradigm of this earth? What if we could switch the frequency of energy? Instead of constantly fighting one another, we could begin to bring our frequencies into harmony. It's the best now. Then there would be limitless possibilities. Limitless. Now, it's easy to speak those words, and when we confront the world with those issues, at times it seems like, well, I don't know what that would look like. I don't know what that would be. But, my friends, it's our opportunity to open our hearts that way, and then ask that God create the possibility through us. For riding with the blessing of God, then we can trust how things will turn out. And that's what each of us has an opportunity to do, to ride with the blessing of God's grace. And that's what I invite each of you to do. Ride that wave with God's love. Be the healing power of God wherever you are. Let God's dispensation of healing come through you right now, wherever you are. Your grace is limitless, because you are a limitless part of God's infinite love. Again, I'll say this, you are designed to thrive and succeed and be lifted up. You're designed to be victorious, healthy, vibrant, successful. God takes no pleasure in seeing people suffer and fail. He provides lots of guidance. And sometimes in the best of circumstances, we may still make a mistake and fail, but we are not a failure. God's love is still with us. Any more than that child learning to walk is a failure when it falls the first 1,000 times. Or that little child learning to ride a bicycle is a failure for not knowing how first. We just have to keep practicing. Okay, we're going to go back in the radio. Good evening, my friends. It's a great pleasure to be here with you. It's always a thrill to be here on Sunday nights, 6 to 7 p.m. live on the number one talk station in Las Vegas. And I invite each of you to open yourself to the miracle working power of God flowing in, through, and for you. Doesn't sound so bad, does it? Open yourself to a new creation being done in you, a new work of God's grace being done within you. And I'm open to that in me too, in myself too. As I said before, I'm a practicing attorney. I'm actually a personal injury attorney, an injury and accident attorney. I don't even talk about it much on this show. But if you ever know somebody in an injury or an accident, automobile accident, any kind of accident, or even unfortunately a death case, you're always welcome to call me. You can look me up. Just look up robertsidell.com or lasvegasattorney.com, and you can find me, lasvegasattorney.com. You can always call me for free and ask me. So Elizabeth is saying, practice, practice, practice. It is. No, it takes a lot of practice. Like I'm 71 now, and I'm still practicing. Still practicing law too. But really, the spiritual journey, I get new insights every week. I say, oh, I just realized a kinder, more loving way is for me to handle this way. Or a kinder, more compassionate way is to handle this. Or maybe God may ask me, well, are you being compassionate to this person or to that person? So it's always an opportunity to do that for all of us. So whatever's going on in your life right now, I just want to remind you, you have work to be done, spiritual work. Now, I'll give you an example. Liz, that's just posted on there, I'll just say that. She works at a church, not works in terms of being paid, she volunteers to help people going through grief. Well, that's a calling that she has. And that's a gift that she gives to people. And it can make a huge difference to somebody who's going through grief. When my father died, it's been about 10 years ago now. Actually, it's 11 now. It's amazing, really. Time goes by. He lived to 99 and a half. And it was the right time for him to pass. It really, really was. And I knew that, he knew that. So in that respect, it wasn't sadness. But in spite of that fact, it was a big change for me. So for me, going to a grief share group at my church was very healing. What it did is it gave me a chance to, and a lot of spiritual growth too. Because I started to realize there were other people in this group that had all kinds of stories. Everything, unfortunately, in my particular year that was there, somebody was dealing with a suicide, another person with a murder, and another person with a car accident. Most of the situations are more normal than that, but they still deal with the loss of a loved one. And I learned a lot about how people respond. It helped me understand my emotions and responses, and it also helped me understand my relationship to God. One of the things that they said in this grief group is that even if you're angry at God, you feel God somehow let you down, like let's say with the loss of a loved one or any other part of your life, don't be afraid to share those feelings with God. And that was a very powerful teaching for me, because I realized in that moment that I needed to go more openly to God in my prayers, even more than I had been. And don't hold anything back. Now, it may well be that God knows everything that's there anyway, but nonetheless, it's better for me to open my heart and mind and soul to God's grace and to share everything that I got going on with me. And that can include doubt. That can include anger, resentment. I said, one of the purposes I want to share tonight is, in order to share your gifts in the world, is to get rid of the blocks within you that can stop you from expressing those gifts. So So let me just give you a few kinds of emotions that can block our gifts. I'll just tell you of just a few that I wrote down. Let's see. Things that can cause us to be blocking our good is jealousy, resentment, envy, bitterness, victim consciousness, all these different things, condemnation, the spirit of condemnation. All of these things in our relationship to the world can cause us to be blocked to God's infinite love. So think about it: jealousy, resentment, condemnation, bitterness, hatred, anger. While these emotions are normal and innocent, it's still better if we can release them to God. So whatever's going on in your life, if you have some of that going on inside of you, at least what I do if any of those emotions come up in me, and they do sometimes, I surrender them to God. Say, God, I'm feeling anger right now. I'm feeling fear right now. I'm feeling judgmental and condemning right now. So I surrender those emotions to you and ask you to take them from me. And it just begins to clean you out. It's a beautiful tool to begin to become healed. Just sharing wherever you're at. Let's say you're married and you're feeling frustrated in your marriage for some reason or another. You can always go into a separate room. You don't have to dump everything on your spouse. You can go into a separate room and say, God, this is very frustrating to me right now. This is upsetting to me. Or I feel rejected, or I feel hurt, or anything you're dealing with. I feel uncertain. I feel insecure. Any emotion. If you pray those things to God and surrender them to God, it's a great way to release those emotions and let them get out of you, instead of just being trapped with them inside of you. Or let's say that in your relationship to God and your journey on this earth, and you see things in the world that don't seem right, you can say, God, I see all these things that are happening in whatever place in the world you're thinking about, or even the news stories in our own town. And I think to myself, God, where are you? How come you haven't resolved these problems? I have lots of dear friends that think like that, and I think like that sometimes myself. I say, God, I just don't understand. How come you don't find answers, provide better solutions for people? So I think those kinds of emotions are good to share with God, and a lot of that freedom came to me from attending the Grief Share Group. And as you do that, then you begin to grow more as a soul. Because you're, instead of sitting on those emotions and pretending you don't have them, you're literally sharing them with God. Anything it could be. God, let's say you're alone and you want to be in a relationship. God, I always believed you could supply me with everything, but here I am alone and don't know where to turn. I'm not so sure I really trust that you have my best interests at hand, or that you could even do anything. Or maybe you don't even really know me, God. Maybe that's all big fantasy. See, all those kind of thoughts can go through us. And I think it's better to let those out if those are real feelings for us. And let me say something to you about that. One of the great blessings of my life is that I've had so much divine experiences, so many, that I can't deny the divinity of life. I can't just go along saying, oh, there's no God and that's it, we're just bodies. I can't do that even if I wanted to. But that still doesn't mean I have the answers. It doesn't mean I understand why and what happens. So I have to humble myself, just like everyone else, and say, God, let thy will be done. But I'll tell you a little secret that you can do. When anything happens in your life, you could say, thank you, God, this too is here to bless me. Even when it doesn't seem like that. It could be some kind of reversal. Let's say you get a traffic ticket. You could say, thank you, God, this here is too to bless me. You might say, well, how would a traffic ticket bless me? Well, that's an easy one to see, right? Maybe it got you stopped right when you needed to be stopped. And it gave you a chance to be corrected and get a little bit of instruction. Maybe you were saved from an accident. But the bottom line is you have an opportunity to have faith in what's happening. You have the opportunity to trust that God is infinite and good and loves you and has prepared a wonderful future for you. So let's say, though, you're doubting that. Let's say you're doubting that. Say it like this, well, God, I'm not so sure you do have a wonderful future for me. I look at the problems and challenges I've known. Where are you? Those are very good emotions to share with God. Just get them all off your chest. God, I don't know what you are. I don't understand how you work. I don't understand the religions of the world. I don't want to know why there's so many religions. Some people say there is no God. Other people say God doesn't care that much about us. Or say that God cares about us but only after this life. There's so many different thoughts about God. You can share all these thoughts with God. Or God, I'm just struggling believing in you. There's lots of people who go through this phase. God, I'm having struggle believing in you. If you're real, I share these emotions with you. As a matter of fact, right in a second, wherever any of you are, I'm just going to say that as a little prayer right now. If any of you are doubting God or doubting God's plan for your life, I pray that God touch you and lift those doubts out of your consciousness and replace them with love and faith and strength. As I pray that for me too. I pray that God's infinite grace and healing provide you with everything that you need to go forward into a beautiful future. I pray that God teach you wisdom, humility, surrender, and grace. It helps you remove those emotions, jealousy, condemnation, anger, bitterness, victim feelings, vindictiveness, all the parts of the human consciousness that are troubling. Pray that God help all of us begin to graduate beyond those. And I pray for our city right here in Las Vegas, that a city of light emerge and something wonderful and magical that beyond anything we could ever imagine starts to come into reality. I see these things, I really, really do, coming into reality. So I want you to know, God's infinite and loving, and God hears our prayers and is working with us. Our job is to maintain our faith. Our job is to trust. This is Robert Sidell, The Gateway. We're going to go to a break. When I come back, I'll have Reverend Ernie here, and maybe Reverend Janet too. We'll soon find out. Stay tuned. Be back in just a moment. So, my friends, it's a real pleasure to be with you here tonight. And it's a great lesson for me to remember too. It's very easy, I think, for all of us when we tune into the news or the internet or whatever way you get information, public events. It's very easy to question, to doubt, feel fearful. These are the normal human emotions. If you have any of those emotions, I want you to know you're 100% normal. There's nothing wrong with you to have those emotions. And at those moments, share those feelings with God. God, I don't know. I don't know my path. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. I don't know how to make my life happen. I don't know how to fulfill your purpose for me. All those prayers are beautiful to unburden yourself with God. Just unburden yourself. You know, it's just a great opportunity. Let's see. I'm going to see if I can switch over here and see if I got a couple of my friends here. Okay, not yet. We're going to see whether or not we get Reverend Ernie and Janet on the line too in a second. Hold on a second here. So it's a great, great pleasure to be with you here on this Sunday night, my friends. It's very good for me, and you do make me a gift by being part of this. And the best is yet to come. It really, really is. That's the power of creation and faith. To open yourself to God's... Oh, here we go. Hey, there's Ernie. How you doing, Ernie? Can you hear me, Ernie? Ernie, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Great. Fantastic. Okay, we'll be back on the air in just a minute. Hold on just a second, my friends. Good evening, my friends. It's a great pleasure to be with you here on this Sunday night. And it's the Gateway Show on for 6 to 7 p.m. live every week, number one talk station. And I'm also simulcasting on Facebook. And also, this is available on YouTube also. So all you have to do is go to YouTube and type in Gateway and Sidell, Sidell, or Gateway Miracles. You're going to find it one way or another, or put all three words in. And you can listen to any of these shows. I put them on right when I finish here. So if you like anything about this, or you missed the show, want to listen later, you can listen there. Or you can listen on Facebook too. The recording's here as well. All right, I've got Reverend Ernie here with me. How are you doing tonight, Ernie?
Hi, Robert.
You sound great.
Okay, thank you, Robert.
Are you hearing a feedback loop?
Yes, I'm hearing feedback.
Okay, well, is your radio on right now? No, you're not hearing it now, are you?
I'm still hearing feedback.
Okay, well, you're just going to have to ignore that, I guess, because we can hear you. I don't think people listening are hearing it. Can everybody else hear Ernie, Reverend Ernie? Can you hear him right now? And you can post on Facebook if you can hear him. But why don't you go ahead and just do it? You'll have to just ignore that tonight.
Okay, thank you, Robert. Okay, the topic for today is learn to receive your highest good and remove your block to having the gifts of love.
What you need to do is turn off the sound coming out. Is the radio turned on? Because we're hearing a whole loop coming through on yours. Because I'm hearing the whole thing focusing back. Oh, they're not there. Is your radio turned on, Ernie?
Let me check here. Your radio turned on? Oh, that's it. I'm sorry. There. Let's see.
Okay, perfect. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Okay. All right. Okay. Lord, we give gratitude for the many blessings you have bestowed upon us. Guide us to be in awareness of your presence and grace within us. Lead us to learn to receive our highest good and remove our blocks to having the gifts of God. We are grateful for the resources that surround us and learn us to receive our highest good from the divine and open to people that give us and share love, joy, happiness, and prosperity for our well-being. Lord, guide us to share and be a testimony to the people we come across on expressing our gratitude for the highest good and freely receive without objections. We give our gratitude, your blessings, learning to receive in our highest good and to be aware the gifts of God to live a life of love, kindness, peace, and harmony. And so it is. Amen.
That's beautiful, Ernie. You know what, Ernie? It is a great pleasure to be able to do these prayers. I know it makes a big difference to people that are listening. I'm just checking the time here on it. I know that you spend a lot of time. Okay, that's great. Debbie says great. She likes it. She's hearing you. James says, thank you, Ernie. Oops, what did I just do here? What did I just do? Hold on. I hope I didn't gift this up. Yeah, no, I didn't. Good. Liz says thank you. Each of you, Ernie, your prayers every week make a huge difference to people.
Thank you.
And that's what we have to remember. You know something? We got to try to do. Liz is saying, thank you, Ernie. That's a good friend of mine from church, actually.
Thanks.
You know something? You and I have been doing this for quite a while, haven't we?
Yes, over 10 years now.
10 years. It's kind of amazing.
Yes.
That's the funny thing about life. So you're 78 now, right?
Yes.
And I'm 71. So that means we started when I was 61 and you were 68.
68, yeah.
That's the funny thing about life is that, everybody, as you get older, everybody talks about it, but it does seem to go faster. It's just one of those strange phenomena of existence that it just goes faster as you go on. And you look back 10 years and think, wait a minute, that isn't that long. I remember the day we started doing this. So that's all the more reason why we need to be dedicated to living our dreams and taking action, because we don't know when our last day will be on this earth, do we? I know. Can you still hear me, Ernie?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you. Yes.
Okay, good. I mean, it's just part of the world we live in. So we should share the love that we can in our hearts as much as we can in the way that we can
Right.
every day of our life. And I know you do that as a school teacher.
Yes.
And you're still getting up early in the morning and going and teaching classes, aren't you?
Right. Right. I do get up at 4:30 in the morning and get ready.
So here you are, 78 years old, and you're still working hard.
Yeah.
That's amazing, Ernie.
Yes. Thank you.
We all say, and yet I don't hear you complaining about that. Do you find you enjoy that?
Yes, I do enjoy it. Yes. Keep me energized. And I'm thankful to God that I do have good health and wonderful support system and good health. Yes.
That is,
That's a
yeah, no,
gift.
that's a great, just isn't that nice? Would you say a prayer like that almost every day, or how do you do that?
Yes. Yeah. It's I meditate on it every day, and I'm thankful that I do keep moving on. Yes.
By the way, I want to show this to the camera. When expect a miracle. This is my.
Yeah.
By the way, this is my daily ministry for me. Whoops, we're probably gonna be out of time in a
Right.
second. But my daily ministry for me is sharing that with my clients and when I meet people in public at different places, and I think they might be lifted up by a miracle. I just give them one of those cards, and it's always kind of fun to do that. You never know when we can make a difference to somebody, right? I'm sure you do that as a teacher too.
Yes, that's right. It's
Do you feel like, do you get positive feedback from the kids or from their parents ever?
yes, I do get a positive feedback, and keep keep the momentum going. That's very helpful. Yeah, keep the energy going.
And they liked you so much they asked you to do a class, the same class for the whole rest of the year, right?
Yes, they gave me the whole for the rest of the 4 months, and there'll be some changes down the road that I told them that I would like to take other classes. Go on to another class. Yeah.
Okay, so you're not going to stay the same class all the way to the end of the
No,
year?
no, no, I will be there for the rest of the week and go to other classes to the rest of the semester.
I see. I see.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? We're always dealing with lots of possibilities, and here you are, and he's an inspiration to all of us. 78 years old and still in the game of life, mind active, and staying involved in this world. And maybe that's why you seem so young, Ernie.
Thank you. Thank you, Robert.
Well, listen, we're just about out of time. All my friends out there, let's remember God is good, miracles are real, and the best is yet to come. If we could just hold that state of mind, then we can't imagine the great things that are in our future. May God bless each one of you. Oh, Liz says to you, go Ernie, go Ernie.
Thank you. Thank you.
So God bless each one of you out there. May you be watched over. May God love you. And we will see you next week. God bless. This is Robert Sidell, The Gateway Show.